So that's how I get negative 5. Okay? Now I have negative 1, negative 1, and I'm going to plug it into this equation. So that gives me 2 times negative 1 minus 1, and I get out negative 2. What do I get out? Negative 3. Okay? Now I'm going to plug in 0. 2 times 0 minus 1. What do I get out? I get out negative 1. Now I'm going to plug in positive 1. That's 2 times 1 minus 1. What do I get? 1. Now I'm going to plug in 2. 2 times 2 minus 1, which is 3. And then I have 2 times 3 minus 1, which gives you out 5. And then what I'm going to do is graph these points. Alright? So now I have to capture this. I'm going to try to do this. Place capture new page, but I want to put it on a graph paper here. But I think I can do that by going to here. Look at that. I'm going to move this over a little bit. And now I'm going to make an XY axis. You guys could just follow. I'm going to give you some graph paper in a minute for you guys to practice with, okay? But I'm going to make an x-axis, a y-axis, and you can do it on your paper, and you can just pretend that you have nice little squares like I have. I'm going to give you some graph paper, okay? So this is, let's say that this is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. And I'm going to graph these. These are called ordered pairs of points. So my first point I'm going to graph is negative 2, comma negative 5. So I go over 2 and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I put a point right there. Okay? And then I graph my next order pair. Negative 1, down 3, 1, 2, 3, and I put that point right there. 0, comma negative 1, right there. Right? 1, comma 1. No, yeah, 1 comma 1. 2, comma 3 would be over here, and 3, comma 5 would be right there. What shape does this make if I connect all the points? It makes a straight line. Okay, so if I were to connect these points, it would make a line that would go starting up here. Okay? Go down, and it will hit exactly those points. And that is the graph. So what I just graphed is the graph of y equals 2x minus 1. Or f of x, another way to call that is f of x is equal to 2x minus 1. Okay? So we're going to do some together. Now, these values, just so you know, these values that you plug in, these are called the independent variables. The x values are known as the independent variables. And the y values are called the, guess what? Dependent variables. Dependent variables. And does anyone have any idea why they would be called that? Why would one be called the independent and one called the dependent? Why, Sarah?
Input, output, the y depends on the x.
Exactly. The y depends on what you put in, right? So like so some independent in real life, like the amount of gas that you put into your car, say that's the independent variable. What would be the dependent variable? How far you could go, right? Or something like that, or how, yeah, something like that. All right, so that's how you graph points. And we're gonna kind of do some of these together. So I have, I'm gonna pause for a minute. Pause. Pause, okay. So now, class, we're gonna use the table to graph y equals 1 half x, all right? Now, you don't always want to choose -3 up to +3 because those numbers aren't very nice when you have a fraction in front of it because those numbers are not going to be divisible by 2. So it'd be nicer if in this one, let's pick some values that you can divide by 2. What would be a nice value that I could divide by 2? 4. Hey, what did that go? 4, right? So, uh-oh, disappeared. Where'd my thing go that I have there? Here it is. Good. I need my workspace. I need my, oh, there it is. So, I'm going to take, why did it just do that? I didn't want it to just do that. Can I write on here now? How come it does that when I do that? I gotta get this thing figured out. Hold on. I'll get on pause because I got it together. So this says y equals 1/2 x here. We're gonna graph these points, but instead of picking numbers like, you could decide what values you want to have for x. So what I'm gonna pick is some numbers that are divisible by 2 because I'm multiplying by 1/2 here. So what's a nice number that's divisible by, how about we'll choose -4, okay? Then let's choose -2. Then let's choose 0. Then let's choose +2. Then let's choose 4. And that's usually enough points to graph a line, okay? So when I plug in -4 in here, what's 1/2 of -4?
-2.
Very good, thank you, -2. What's 1/2 of -2? 1. What's 1/2 of 0? What's 1/2 of 2? 1. And what's 1/2 of 4? 2. So now I'm going to put some lines on my graph. So here we go. I'm going to go like this. You can choose the graph you want to do. So what number is this? Number 6 on your sheet. Okay? And I am going to graph these points. Here I go. I'm going to graph -4, -2, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, down 2. Got it? Then I'm going to graph -2, +1. Right, where's that? Here. No, that doesn't make sense. -2, +1. I'm sorry. No. -1. I messed up. -2, -1, which is right here. Jordan, focus.
Sorry.
0, 0. 2, 1. And 4, 2. Does this make a line as well? Yes. So now I'm going to take my straight edge or ruler or whatever you happen to have handy beside of your book. I'm going to draw a line that connects those points. And I'm going to put arrows on the end to indicate that this line would go on forever and ever, without stopping. Okay? Now, could I pick a point like 1.5? Or what if I picked 1? What would I get out? What if I did choose to put 1 in here? What would I get out? What's 1/2 of 1? 1/2, right? So is the point 1, 1/2 on this graph? 1, 1/2? Is it there? Yeah, it is. Okay, so I can pick any points for my independent variables. That's why they're called independent. You can plug anything in there that you want. Okay? But then I'm going to get out certain dependent variables. Yes? No? Okay. Say what? Who? Are you graphing these as we go? Okay. I'm going to do 2 more, and then I'm going to assign some of these for homework. Is that a good plan? Yeah. So I'm not going to make you do every single one. That's a lot. Okay? So we'll just assign some of them. So let's do, some of you already did this one. Number 9. Okay? So these ones, let me tell you, they're all going to be lines. Okay? They're going to be lines. But when we get to number 9, some of you already did this. Sorry, it's so green. I don't know. It's not easy being green. It's not easy. This is Kermit. It's a Kermit the Frog song. Have you heard that song? Yes. Okay. You haven't heard that song before?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. No? Yes? Maybe. All right. So we're going to graph g of x equals x squared. So again, I pick some nice values, and let's pick like -3. Oh, that's hard to see. Let's pick white. Ooh, that's a good idea. -3. Let's pick -2. Let's pick -1. Let's pick 0, 1, 2, and 3. So you want to pick values that are going to give you a good idea of what that graph is going to look like. Okay? So usually some values on the left side of the graph and some values on the right side. Okay? So when I plug in -3 into x squared, what do I get out, Jordan? What's -3 times -3? Positive 9. Very good. What's -2 squared? 4. What's -1 squared? 1. What's 0 squared? What's 1 squared? 4 and 9. Okay? So now I'm going to try to graph these. Good? I'm going to put a line on here, make it blue this time. And what I would do, it's going to be kind of hard to hit these y values that are 9. So when you're making your graph, I'm going to draw my graph kind of down here like this, because I don't see any negative y values. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph these points. I'm going to call this the x-axis.
This is definitely -20.
This is the y-axis. No, but there's no negative y's. Okay. So in this graph, I'm going to go left 3 and up 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. And then left 2 and up 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then left 1 and up 1. And left 0 and up 0. And then what's it going to look like on the other side?
It's going to be a B.
Same thing, not quite a B. Okay. More like a,
Definitely.
it's more curvy. No, a B would go straight, right?
Oh yeah, you're
It's
right.
more like a U. So real careful. This is really hard to sketch with this thing. So just bear with me here, okay? I get this thing kind of coming down here, curvy, 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 and then it turns upwards. And it's symmetric, okay? Kind of looks like that. And again, you put arrows on the end indicating that it's going to continue this way for never and ever. So this is the graph of y equals x squared. Anyone know what this is called? What shape that's called? Anyone know what that's called? U? Called a parabola.
How do we know that?
Because I'm telling you, that's how you know. Good. Anytime you have x squareds in it, you're going to have a parabola. Anytime you have an x squared in it, you have a parabola. Some of that question? Brian, what's your question? This is number 9, right? Number 9. Okay? So I'm going to do one more with you, and then I'm going to assign some of these to you. Okay? So let's do one of those absolute value ones. Let's do a trickier.
14.
Let's do
14.
Where's 14? Don't we have an absolute value graph somewhere?
50.
Oh, we don't have an absolute value graph.
Do 19.
We'll do an absolute value graph tomorrow. Let's look at 16. Okay? So now you're going to get some messed up numbers in here when I'm doing 16. So let me just pick some numbers for you. And it's, so these are all parabolas, that's okay. On this side. So over here we have, let's pick some numbers. So when I square this, I want to be able to take one out. I don't even know what to choose. Let's just try by picking, let's just try -3. Let's go in right. Let's go from -3 up to 3. So -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Oh, I want different paper, don't I? How do I get that? How do I get that graph paper? now when I make this table, it's a little bit harder finding the values. So what I have to do here to get out this value, I have to take negative 3, whoops, it's writing in white, that's not much good. I'm going to take negative 3, I'm going to square it, I'm going to multiply it by negative 1/2, I'm going to take away 3. Oh my god. So what's negative 3 times negative 3? 9. And that's times negative 1/2 minus 3, which gives you negative 9 over 2, which is 4.5. So it's negative 4.5 minus 3.
Is negative 1.5.
No,
Yes. Oh, I'm
negative 7.5.
Oh, Jake.
So this one gives you up here negative 7.5. So some of these it's hard just to find the right answer, just to compute what goes in the table. So the next one should be easier. Doug, whoops, I have to change back to this. Negative 1/2 times negative 2 squared minus 3. So that's going to give you negative 1/2 times 4.
Wait, you wrote negative 1.
What?
You wrote negative 1.
Oh, and then negative 1/2 times 4 minus 3. Okay? Did everyone see where I got the 4 from?
Yeah.
Okay? What's 1/2 of 4?
2.
Make it negative. Negative 2 minus 3 gives you negative 5. Hopefully they'll get easier as we go. So up here, I'm going to put, we'll just finish this one and then let someone else. Up here, I'm going to put negative 5. Okay? Then I'm going to plug in negative 1. Okay? So I'm going to go, again, I'm going to go negative 1/2 times negative 1 squared minus 3. What's negative 1 squared? No. Positive 1. Times negative 1/2 gives you what?
0.5.
Negative 1/2 minus 3 gives you negative what?
Negative 1.5.
3.5. Okay? So over here I get in white negative 3.5. And then when I plug in 0, that's easy. What do I get when I plug in 0? No. Anything times 0,
It's 0.
0. So 0 minus 3 gives you
Negative 3.
negative 3 over here. Okay? So I have negative 7.5, negative 5, negative 3.5, negative 3. Then guess what happens as I go back uphill? It turns they're still the same. Okay? Negative 3.5, just believe me on this. If I plug in positive 1 in here, so when I square it, it turns it positive anyway, right? So I'm going to get negative 3.5, negative 5, and negative 7.5. Okay, for my points. Follow that? Now I'm going to graph those, and then I'll give you some problems. Okay? So let me see if I can capture this here again. I want to put this in a new page. So here's my table. And I'm going to put on a nice new graph paper page. And I'm going to draw in my x and y axis. And I'm going to do it, I want it to go down to negative 7.5. So this graph, and all the, see how all the y values are negative over here? So I'm going to draw my x-axis up here. Okay? Because I have all negative y values. So when I draw it, so you kind of got to be clever here. So here's my x, here's my y, negative 3, negative 7.5. So I'm going to go back 3 and down 7.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. Okay? 2, down 5. That's easier. Back 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back 1, down 3.5. 1, 2, 3.5. Back 0, down 3. Over 1, down 3.5. Over 2, down 5. Over 3, down 7.5. What's this shape going to look like? It's an upside down parabola, okay? So something that looks kind of like that, okay? Like a mountain. All right, so that's the graph of y equals -1/2 x squared minus 3. So I'm going to give you a few more of these to do for homework, okay? We're not going to do any book work, so ignore what's on my website. We're just going to do some more of these. So we did, what did we do? We did 1, right? Oh, I have to pause. I almost forgot. Pause.